This video is about why I stopped using Goodreads and StoryGraph. This video is not to bash either of the platforms. I'm just discussing my personal preference. If you watch my video from December, you'll know that towards the end of the year, I was trying to decide if I wanted to continue using StoryGraph or if I wanted to begin tracking my reading in a notebook. So today I'm going to talk about how that process is going, the pros as well as the cons of leaving those apps that are used for tracking my reading. I found out about BookTube, I believe it was in 2021, and I began tracking my reading in 2022. So of course, when I'm searching for things to track my reading with, when I'm shown the largest channels on BookTube, when I first found out about it, they're all talking about Goodreads. I had an Amazon account, still have an Amazon account, and they have Goodreads attached to it. So naturally, I just started using Goodreads. I didn't know if it would be too much for me. All I wanted was a simple way to track my reading, and it was just too many posts. It was just too many posts, like a feed, and it was too many comments. I didn't like the comments, the liking, the sharing statuses. I didn't like any of that. I don't have Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook in probably a decade. I have an Instagram for my, I have a Bookstagram, which I don't use and I never check unless someone asks me to check it. What else? I'm not on X. I wasn't on Twitter. I haven't been on Twitter in probably like maybe about a decade as well. The only thing I have is YouTube. I wanted something simple that would not be too much like social media, would not be too stimulating, would not be overstimulating for me. So I left Goodreads when I found out about StoryGraph. Now, StoryGraph is owned by a Black woman. I believe she also does all the technology in the background. She's the one that's running that application. So I tried StoryGraph, which I do like. It's a lot simpler. They both of the sites, both of the apps have their pros and the cons, but my method was, the method that I preferred was using StoryGraph because it was a lot simpler. Of course, it does have the option to connect with people. If you are friends with people, you can choose to share your reading updates with the people that you're connected with, or you can keep it private. Because reading is really a private hobby, and when we come on the internet, we're choosing what we want to share. So I wanted the option to not have what I'm reading on a public platform, and I wanted to be more selective with what I share with others. I decided to just ditch the apps altogether and start using notebooks. Yes, regular, old-fashioned pen and paper. You can't go wrong with either one of these. So let me show you what I use for my main method of tracking. And this is my notebook. This is a slim notebook from Sterling Ink. I can't remember the exact name because I'm not a planner girly, but I found out about this from the planner girlies when I was over on PlannerTube. I don't know what they call it, but you know, all the women that love to show their planners and supplies. So I was watching their videos just to find something to use, something cute and unique. So I bought this one. I love the color of it, and this has beautiful gold edges. I really love how slim it is. How, I can just throw it in my bag whenever I want to use it. I love the pages in it. It has the grids instead of the lines. It's my first time using the grids, which I really do like. Let me show you what the inside of my notebook looks like. All right, so when you open it up, you have this paper. I think it's called vellum. I think that's what it is, I'm not sure. And then I added some gold stickers, and here I have my key. So I kept it very simple. I have F for fiction, N for nonfiction, P for physical, D for digital, and A for audiobook. And then when you open it up, you can see each year written in big numbers, and then I have the months. And I have a box around the months, and then I just number each book that I read for each month throughout the year. And you see this has a lot of pages in it. So I have books that I've read since 2022 in here, and these are use a very small amount of pages so far. And it's also numbered, so I am on page 15. So this should last me a few years. Let me show you how I have 2025. So here I have the year. And you can see how I started it. It's one, that's the name of the book, the author, and I have F for fiction, P for physical. And I just continue to do that until I get to the next page. Very, very simple. Now there's two things that I don't really like, which can easily be changed. Now, one thing is this easily, your fingerprints easily transfer to this. So I'm constantly having to wipe it off, but that can be resolved. Sterling ink does have a clear cover that I can get for this, which I do plan on getting soon. So I'm going to get a clear cover, and that will stop the fingerprints from being transferred to it. And also, sometimes I will write down a book that I'm anticipating on finishing, and I don't finish it, like Blacktop Wasteland. I've already written that down, but I realized that I don't really like crime fiction. Just reading that, that's my first time reading crime fiction. So it just looks like I've read it, but I haven't selected anything for how I want to mark DNFs. So I think that I'm just going to put a hyphen at the end of it just to show ones that I did not finish. Don't get me wrong, that book was good. It's just not for me. It was too much action. I'm really not an action type of person. So I have his other book, All Sinners Bleed, and that one, it looks like I read it as well, but I didn't finish it. So I'm going to redo my key and just add a hyphen, and I'm going to put that at the end for books that I did not finish. But yeah, that's my simple method for tracking my reading. And then I also have this notebook, and this one is one I just found on Amazon, and this is one that I use to track my Project Zero TBR. And if you're not familiar with that project, if you haven't been following or you're new here, this is a project that I'm doing where I attempt to read all of the books that have been on my shelves for more than 1 year. And so you see, I have so many behind me, so many good books that I'm trying to get to. So I want to make sure that I'm not only reading my new books and not just reading those as they come in, but I'm also prioritizing ones that have been backlisted. They've been on my shelves for more than a year. Let me show you what this one looks like. All right, so this is the first page. And I have here my title, Project Zero TBR, started this July 16, 2024. And I have my goal, which is to reduce the number of unread books that have been on my shelves for longer than a year. And I have just marked it number 1, and that correlates to the number of video that I have. So if you look at my playlist, you'll see Project Zero TBR, and it'll say check-in number 1. So these are the books that are discussed in that one. I put books read and then the date that I started, July 16, 2024, and I'll just pick a random date to end it on. And this time I chose October 13, 2024. I list all of the books that I read. I was originally tracking how many I unhauled, but for some reason I stopped doing that. I probably will start back doing that. And then I have here number 2. And then if you come down here on number 5, this is the one, this will be the next one that I do. And this started on May 1st, 2025. Sometimes I'll write it down as I'm going, but what I usually do is when I feel like I've read enough books or maybe have a good amount to talk about, I'll go back to my notebook, go back to May, and then I'll write down all of the books from this notebook that were older than a year that were within that time frame. I know I probably was rambling on and it sounded like a lot, but trust me, it really is simple. Pick up a book, write down the name, write down the author, and then write down 2 letters for the format of the book. Easy as pie. I do like the simplicity. I do like the simplicity of this method. I also like that I don't have to continue to pick up an electric device. These devices are so addictive, and any little bit helps when it comes to reducing the amount of time that are on those devices. And you have to really be intentional about reducing that time. Now, there are 2 things that I do miss about the apps. On StoryGraph, I used to join read-alongs, and that's one thing that I do miss. I've been considering going on there every now and then and joining a read-along, but I don't really think that I'll need to, because I also joined 2 book clubs recently. These are virtual book clubs, so I'm going to see how that goes with just reading with the people in the clubs and chatting about that every month. If that's not enough, then I'll also probably go on back on StoryGraph just to do a few read-alongs. I also miss that dopamine hit that I would get every time that I would enter the page number that I'm on when I finish reading a section for the day and seeing my percentage go up. That's small, but it's just something that keeps you motivated, keeps you going when you see that percentage going higher and higher, and then you eventually finish. Overall, I'm really happy with my decision to go back to regular pen and paper and use my beautiful notebooks for tracking. How do you prefer tracking your reading? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.